The new economy is a global economy, but that's nothing new for us. We've been global for a long time.
We had a great energy forum, and I heard business people talking to other business people, both from Sonora and Arizona, about how they can start collaborating and working together.
Tonight on Arizona Week, how Arizona and Sonora collaborate to grow business and create jobs.
Production of Arizona Week is made possible in parts by a grant from the Stonewall Foundation and by the members of Arizona Public Media. Thank you for your continued support. Once again, your moderator, Michael Chihak.
As our state revs up its economy, going global starts with Mexico. It's a collaboration already worth nearly $11 billion and 110,000 jobs in our state. We explore the dynamics with business-minded people from both sides of the border. They were in Tucson this week for the Arizona-Mexico Commission meetings. What's the main purpose of the Arizona-Mexico Commission summer session underway?
To continue the great relationship we have with the state of Sonora and to identify additional opportunities for economic development and job creation, we're really focused on how can we better this regional economy.
So more specifically, what are the highest priority issues that you'll see being dealt with this week?
We're focusing on some key topic areas: aerospace, energy, logistics management, and mining.
Do you expect to see some solutions to some of those issues come out of the sessions?
Absolutely. That's why we get together, to identify what are some of the critical needs and what some of the solutions for those needs are. So we're hoping that through the committee work, the action items will come out with some tangible actions.
And then what happens to that information? Does it go to the state policymakers on both sides of the line, or how does that then get put into action?
There's a couple of ways. First of all, the committees will be presenting their action items to the governors to let the governors know the work that they're going to be working on until the next plenary session. Then some of it are actual recommendations that in governors' private meetings, business people make to the governors, and then we work on those throughout the year.
And who's here this week? Who's participating in the session?
A lot of people, from the federal government of both countries to business people to state and local elected officials and the governors of Arizona and Sonora. So there's just a lot of private sector, public sector involvement.
And in the private sector, do we expect that we'll hear some business deals actually being made?
You know, I've already heard it today. We had a great energy forum, and I heard business people talking to other business people, both from Sonora and Arizona, about how they can start collaborating and working together.
And what kinds of things would that involve? Is that alternative energies? Is that sharing energy? What?
It's all sorts of projects in the renewables. So it's just really looking at how can we either through looking at best practices, looking at the projects themselves, or looking at a supply chain, but how can we benefit this region so that we can become the regional solar capital of the world.
Mr. Portillo, do you expect to see specific agreements come out of the meetings this week in Tucson that will be of benefit to businesses in Sonora?
Sure, I do. We are on the private meetings for the governors. We are going to have two important meetings. One of them is going to be aerospace manufacturing, and the other one is going to be energy. We hope, because we invite from the private sector, from Sonora and from Arizona, to make business, to make, a lot of empleos of money on both sides of the state. And also we have one other private sector that we are specifically working on, that is mining. And I am pretty sure that we are going to have a lot of new agreements that they are going to help us to look to the future and to staunch bonds with Arizona private sector and public sector too.
Now, what kinds of takeaways do you expect from the Arizona-Mexico Commission meetings this week?
Well, I've been part of these for a number of years, and I think under Margie's stewardship, what we're seeing is, in the case of the Economic Development Committee, we are being tasked with clear action items rather than meeting for the sake of meeting. which I don't think was a bad idea anyway. I mean, it did foster the kind of engagement and relationship building that at the core of it is the foundation of what we need to work with. But now it's time to up the game. Now it's time to say, take that and put it into some measurable outcome. What are we going to do? And I think you'll see that over the course of tomorrow as the variety of committees meet, that we fully intend to engage on things such as logistics, transborder commerce, exports, workforce, and any number of things that are very common to both of our agendas.
The border, some people might say, has security issues. How do you see security issues having an impact on business between the two countries?
You know, certainly security plays into it. That's why I think Governor Brewer has been so adamant on security as one of her platforms. We work very, very diligently on making sure that we try to have as secure of a region. But a lot of it is making sure that at our ports of entry, we have the technology and the ports that can help secure the flow of traffic also.
Mr. Madonia, what is the governor of Sonora's viewpoint about keeping the border area secure so that businesses feel comfortable coming across to do business?
Nuestro gobernador siempre lo sostiene y con acciones.
Our governor has always said that we are the safest border state of Mexico, and that facilitates the invitation of our partners from Arizona and from all over the United States.
Y no solamente de Arizona, sino de cualquier parte
It allows us to share that relationship that enriches both of us.
Esa relación que nos enriquece mutuamente. Realmente el gobernador del estado ha estado realizando
The governor of Sonora has been promoting implementation of technology and intelligence that promotes that kind of safety.
Proporcionar esta seguridad. Es un trabajo que se ha venido haciendo.
Security is a job that continues to be done carefully and meticulously, as we're looking for those areas where more security is required.
Se requiere mayor seguridad.
Besides serving as the executive director of the Arizona-Mexico Commission, you also serve as policy advisor on Mexico to Governor Brewer. Yeah. What is your basic advice to the governor about better relations with Mexico?
Well, my advice, and something the governor truly believes in, is having a great relationship with our counterparts. She and her counterpart, Governor Padres, have a very good relationship. They just met in Rocky Point at our last plenary session in February. Here they are meeting again, and they know that the basis for a good relationship is constant dialogue and constant interaction, and I think that that's what these meetings are about.
Now, both Mexico and the United States are electing presidents this year. What do you look for in those election campaigns and the actual election outcomes that can enhance business relationships between the two countries?
Well, we certainly hope that the new administration in Mexico, regardless of the party, will want to continue an open, free market dialogue between the United States and Mexico and want to put emphasis on border priorities. That then feeds into the work that we do. So we're just looking for an enhancement of what the 21st century border priorities are for our two nations.
The Arizona-Mexico Commission is a public agency. Sonora has a different dynamic, a private-public partnership. We spoke with two Sonoran businessmen about it. Mr. Cabrera, does the Sonora-Arizona Commission operate in the same manner as the Arizona-Mexico Commission?
I would say that it does operate in a manner that is similar to the way the AMC operates. Our commission is of a dual nature in that it has membership from the private sector, from different areas of economic activity and fields, and it also has membership from the public sector. We have a number of committees, 14 committees in different areas, and the role of the committees is to continuously spot areas of concern, of common interest, of shared goals, and come up with what we call action items to pursue those action items from one plenary session to the next one.
Mr. Bujanda, is the goal of the organization to develop business between the United States and Mexico similar to what happens with the Arizona-Mexico Commission?
Sin duda, La relación comercial entre Sonora y Arizona está muy
Without a
estrecha
doubt, the commercial
por
relationship
ambos
between
lados
Sonora and
de la
Arizona is
frontera.
close on both
Sin
sides of the
duda,
border.
Queremos aprovechar todos los beneficios que Sonora tiene.
We want to take advantage of all the benefits that Sonora has to offer in the transformation industry
Número 5 de 32.
because we are the fifth most dynamic state out of
Creo que
32.
debemos aprovechar todo ese valor agregado que le estamos dando a nuestros productos y
So we have to
poder
take advantage
hacer
of
todavía
that and
estrechar
grow the
más y
business
hacer crecer
relationship
más
with Arizona.
esa relación que hay comercial con Arizona.
Mr. Cabrera, are you seeing progress in the relations between the two states, Sonora and Arizona, as far as business relations go?
I am. I am, and I can tell you this because I am an attorney. I have a private legal practice in Hermosillo, and I've been doing that for 22 years. And during that time, I have seen how relationships between our states in the business area continuously grows and improves. There are, of course, challenges, but that's what we're here for, to identify those challenges and join efforts to address them and overcome them.
And Mr. Bujanda, what advantages are there economically for businesses in Sonora to have an alliance with businesses in Arizona?
Sin duda, estas comisiones o estar estrechando lazos.
These commissions are beneficial because they let us see what best practices are being done on both sides of the border.
De cada lado de la frontera. Sin duda,
Seeing what's being done right allows us to identify for future commissions what issues have more importance and what issues benefit both communities.
Las cosas se den de manera pues de mayor importancia y de beneficio para
We
las
certainly want better quality of life for both the people of Arizona and Sonora.
Lo que es la calidad de vida en Sonora para nuestra gente.
And Mr. Cabrera, do you expect to see business agreements coming out of the meetings this week that will be of benefit to businesses in Sonora?
Well, I sure hope that is the case. We always come to these plenaries with such hope. It is a great opportunity to do networking, to meet people, to initiate or improve existing relationships. And I know that, for instance, there's a lot of enthusiasm in the fields of solar energy, aerospace industry. Sonora is booming, is undergoing an extraordinary degree of growth in that particular area, which I know is of specific interest to our governors, both for Governor Padres and for Governor Brewer. They have both expressed their desire to see that area of industry grow even more in the years to come. So yes, I am hoping that there will be specific deals, business, if not agreements, at least understandings to initiate and trigger, hopefully, greater things.
Mr. Bujanda, what kinds of numbers are we talking about in job creation that occur in Sonora as a result of the relationships that are built with businesses in Arizona?
El número de porcentaje de empleo que estamos generando en Sonora.
In Sonora, we are creating about 30,000 or more jobs per year.
En el año. Creemos que
we believe that quantifying the relationship between Sonora and Arizona is crucial.
Esa relación que hay con Sonora y Arizona. Las oportunidades que tenemos.
The opportunities we have to invest in mining, the aerospace industry, and agriculture, we believe are going to give us that boost to generate even more employment and strengthen that commercial relationship between the two states.
Para generar todavía más empleo y que se dé esa relación todavía de mayor comercial entre Sonora y Arizona.
And Mr. Bujanda, is there one specific industry that you think it's more important to focus on in Sonora than any other?
Mira, ahorita tenemos lo que es
right now it's the automotive and harness manufacturing.
Estamos trabajando muy fuerte en lo
We're also working hard on the production of goods in what we call the white line, or appliances.
En exportación hacia América Latina en lo que es la línea blanca.
Mexico is the #1 export of appliances to Latin America, so we're focusing on our specialties in order to become a magnet and attract even more in those specialties. We believe that we can really take advantage of promoting all those areas of opportunity in these type of meetings.
Want to do business in Mexico? Here's one Tucson company's story, as told by CEO Luis Felipe Seldner. Tell us what the Offshore Group does to assist American businesses to work in Mexico.
The Offshore Group is a company that's hands-on, a very sophisticated Kelly service. We provide everything that a manufacturing operation has got to do in Mexico, whether it's labor, Social Security, taxes, compliance with all the EPA laws, everything that a company's got to do, but that is not your reason for being in Mexico. Your reason for being in Mexico is to manufacture a product at a competitive cost, competitive against global competition.
And where in Mexico are your facilities located?
We're in Hermosillo, we're in Guaymas, we're in Empalme, Obregón, we just started up Guadalajara, and we're in Saltillo.
And your website says that you work with 56 companies that employ about 13 or 14,000. What kinds of businesses are those?
Well, we have a lot of clients, and our biggest base is automotive. We do have a lot of aerospace ourselves. We have been able to develop a lot of aerospace. And basically in the area of turbine components. Okay, we have medical, we have electronics, and metal fabrications. We're also started Bangtel, which provides the same services for back office work and for software development.
Now, are you seeing the business growing?
We took a pretty big hit, Michael, in 2008. Went from 18,500 employees. We took a dive to 6,000. We're back up to 18,000. We're back up to 14,000 employees.
So you're seeing some growth now, but it's a recovery from the recession, right?
Basically, internal growth. What took us down was the automotive. As you can recall, automotive was hurt very badly by 2008. And that's the sector has grown the largest. But we have grown also in the aerospace sector. And we have grown also with not only U.S. companies, with British companies, with German companies, Canadian companies.
Could you give us an example or two in a couple of key industries, aerospace and automotive, in what a company could save by doing business in Mexico?
I'm going to leave it up to the audience. It's going to be very easy for them to deduct or to come up with the answer. What I can tell them is that in automotive, total cost for one of my clients, that includes rent, electricity, communications, labor, indirect labor, overtime, local purchases, moving in their materials and their equipment in and out. In automotive is around $6, $6.30 an hour.
Per employee?
Per employee. In the aerospace, it's around $15 to $16. Again, total cost, not only labor. I'm not talking about labor because it depends on the qualifications of the people that are working there.
So, in other words, what the average worker is making in a Mexican facility and what all the overhead costs are for the employer compared with the same that would be done here in the United States is where they find their savings, right?
Well, I would say that if you add up all those items, those line items that you call up here in the States, whether it's rent, electricity, transportation, the labor, indirect, if you add all that, I think it would stand up to just labor here. I believe minimum wage here is $7.25 or $8.25.
Americans might think that Mexico is a dangerous place to do business. What kinds of security issues do you confront, and is that a good perception for us to have?
You know, there's a saying in Mexico, you cannot block the sun with one finger, okay? There's definitely issues. I can tell you that they're very localized, and not only localized, but they are within gangs, okay, and the people that take care of security, which is our police forces, our army forces. And yes, the numbers are big and very, very mediatic. But let me make a comparison, Michael, if I may. I believe that during Memorial Day, there were 30 people shot in Chicago. You only heard it in CNN one time. If one person would have been shot, the U.S. citizen in Mexico, it would have been in CNN 30 days. So-and-so was shot. So we do have a problem. It's more mediatic than real. And it's mediatic because it's very gruesome. We cannot hide that. But it's basically gangs fighting gangs and the police doing their job.
So the impact on business along the lines of the way you operate, both in the United States and in Mexico, is, what would you say, minimal?
I'm sure, there's a lot of U.S. companies now in Mexico. And not only U.S., Canadians and from all over the world. I'm sure that if any one of those companies would have been in a problem, or a lot of the companies, or if it was a big problem, it'd be in the news.
Yeah, they'd pull out.
They'd pull out, yes.
Border economics are so important that research economist Laura Monique Lyman of the University of Arizona focuses on them. She directs the U of A's Border Economy program. Do you see trade growing between Arizona and Mexico at the present time?
I see trade growing, but I don't see the trade flows through Mariposa Port of Entry growing, mostly northbound trade flows, because of the current modernization of the port of entry that's going to be going on until 2014.
And that's the main port of entry for imports to the United States from Mexico, at least here in Arizona, correct?
Correct. That's a main import that fresh produce come through from Mexico to the U.S.
Now, statistics show that northbound traffic at the border, both at Mariposa and other border crossings, has been down for the last decade or so for a variety of reasons. First of all, would you talk about what some of those reasons are?
Yes, we have seen a decline in border crossings of pedestrians and passengers, mostly because of the strict U.S. visa requirements that were put in place after September 11. We've also seen a decline because people are preferring in Mexico to shop in Mexico as the Mexican economy continues to grow faster than the U.S. economy at about 5%. So there's a lot of Mexicans choosing to shop in Mexico than come to the U.S.
Now, despite that, we do see growth in trade going on between the two countries. Is that not correct?
That's true. Arizona and Sonora have a great relationship between themselves that goes back to their history. We see a lot of exports from Arizona going to Mexico's, mostly Sonora's, manufacturing facilities, known as the maquila-like production facilities.
And what kinds of things does Arizona send to Mexico, export to Sonora?
Arizona has three major export-oriented industries. The first one is the manufacturing industry, which supplies inputs and final goods to the maquiladora-like facilities in Mexico and Sonora. About 80% of Arizona exports in 2011 went to Sonora's manufacturing sector.
And does this include technology and other items like that?
Yes, it does. In fact, it includes computers and computer parts, equipment for machinery, transportation equipment. We're seeing a lot of plastics as well as copper produce go to Sonora.
And are there places in Sonora where these plants are besides Nogales?
Yes, we're seeing plants in Hermosillo as well as far south. So yes, they're pretty well distributed.
And are there opportunities for growth in that? Are there other sectors in the economy that expect that they'll be able to export to Mexico anytime soon?
Yes, we are. We're seeing a lot of growth within the small businesses who have an interest in supplying the maquila facilities in Mexico and Sonora. So there's a big movement towards promoting those exports, especially through the National Export Initiative that was put in place by President Obama in 2010 to double exports by 2014. So we're seeing a lot of movement towards those kind of promotions at the federal level and the state level.
And what kind of job base is there in Arizona for the export industry to Mexico? How many jobs, in other words, are supported in our state by exports?
The National Association of Manufacturers estimated that in 2010, about 150,000 people were employed in the export-oriented manufacturing sector. Our estimates at the center estimates about 85,000 of those jobs were from the high-tech manufacturing sector.
And much of that is devoted to exports to Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, to Mexico.
And what other opportunities are there going to be? For example, we've heard some talk of a deep water port somewhere in northwestern Mexico. Will that enhance opportunities for Arizona businesses?
Yes, it will. In fact, that will increase exports not just to Mexico, but to other countries in the world, including China. There are talks about connecting the Arizona ports of entry with Guaymas through rail. We're also seeing an increase in companies that want to relocate closer to Guaymas to have facilities produce the products there. What that is going to do for Arizona is it's going to increase our trade flow through the ports of entry, and the export support industries along the ports of entry, Nogales, San Luis, are going to grow. These include warehousing, transportation, insurance, brokerage, financial supporting sectors, and that will be good for the economy.
Now, in Arizona, that will mean more jobs as well. Is that not correct?
Yes, there will be more jobs. We have to be really careful, though, because we don't want to just become experts in passing through trade flow. We want to capture some of that growth within the economy that grows jobs and our sectors.
And the Arizona-Mexico Commission that's meeting this week here in Tucson is talking a lot about what the dynamics of all of that are. Your involvement in the Commission's meetings is as an observer, is that not correct?
Yes, I come in as a role as a researcher to provide facts and research findings through the Border Economy program at the Economic and Business Research Center at the Ella College of Management. We are specialized in identifying research findings that give us a good idea, good understanding of what's going on along the border region, not just Arizona, but Arizona and Mexico relations as well. We provide data through the web portal, which is going to go public here coming this week. So there'll be a lot of information, not just for policymakers, but for businesses to determine how we're performing compared to the whole U.S.-Mexico border region. And within that discussion, we should be able to garner more support for border infrastructure funding, export-oriented promotion programs, legislation. And so that is really what we'll be providing to the community.
That's our program for Friday, June 8th, 2012. Special thanks to AZPM reporter Fernanda Echavarri and videographer Steve Riggs for interpreting and translating for our interviews. There's more on our website, azweek.com. For Arizona Week, I'm Michael Chihag.
Production of Arizona Week is made possible in parts by a grant from the Stonewall Foundation and by the members of Arizona Public Media. Thank you for your continued support.